Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, I will demonstrate a quick guide to the most used features of XER Reader. Let's get started. Now let's go to the Application menu and click on File. Select Open. This brings up the File Selection dialog. XER Reader allows us to open different types of project files. Let's open a sample project file. As soon as I do that, the project loads into the application, and we can now see all the project data displayed on the screen. Now, if we look at the activity view, we can see that by default, there are 5 columns: activity ID, activity name, activity type, start date, and end date. But what if we want to add more columns or remove some of the existing ones? Let's see how we can do that. I click on the Columns button in the top toolbar, and this opens the Column Manager dialog. At the top, there's a toggle button that lets us switch the left side view between list mode and tree mode. Now let's see how to move columns between these two sections. I select the column Early Start Date from the left side and click the right arrow button to move it to the right. As soon as I do that, this column is now part of the activity view. But if I want to remove it, I can simply select it from the right side and click the left arrow button, moving it back to the left. Next, I'll show you how to move entire groups of columns at once. Instead of moving each column one by one, I can simply move the entire parent node to the right, and all the columns under it will be added automatically. Now let's talk about the search bar at the top. If you're looking for a specific column, just type its name, and it will instantly filter the list, making it easy to find. Now let's try selecting all columns at once. I press Ctrl+A to select all columns on the left side, and then I click the right arrow to move them over. On the right side, we have up and down arrow buttons. These let you change the order of columns in the activity view. If you want a specific column to appear first, simply move it to the top. Now let's talk about the Reset Default button at the bottom. If I ever want to go back to the original column setup, I just click this button and everything resets instantly. All right, let's apply some real changes. I move the activity status column to the right. Then, I add the predecessors column. Now, I click Apply. And just like that, these 2 new columns appear in the activity view. Next, let's see how to sort and filter data in the activity view. Now, if you hover over any column header in the activity view, you'll notice a small auto-filter button appearing. Let's click on it, and there we go. The auto-filter pop-up appears. Let's break this down and see how it works. At the top of this pop-up, you'll see 2 options: Sort A to Z and Sort Z to A. These buttons allow us to sort the column in ascending or descending order. Just below that, we have the filtering section, where we can filter data in 2 ways, by list or by expression, similar to Excel. At the bottom, there are 2 important buttons: Clear and Clear All. The Clear button removes the filter applied to this column, while Clear All removes filters applied to all columns, no matter where the filter was opened. Now let's apply some sorting. First, let's click on Sort A to Z. As soon as we do that, the Activity ID column gets sorted in ascending order, and you can see the activity view updating instantly. Now let's try Sort Z to A, and just like that, the column updates again, this time in descending order. Now let's go back to Sort A to Z to bring it back to the default order. Let's move on to filtering. We'll start with the List filter. In the Filter pop-up, you can see a list of values under the Activity ID column. Let's uncheck A1. As soon as we do that, all rows containing A1 disappear from the activity view. Let's do the same for A2, and now both A1 and A2 are filtered out. Now if we click Select All, it selects all checkboxes, and A1 and A2 come back into view. Let's click Select All again to uncheck everything, and now no rows are visible in the activity view. To reset everything, let's click on the Clear button, and all rows reappear. Now let's switch to the Expression tab. Once we do that, we see the expression filtering view. Here we have 2 drop-downs that let us set conditions using AND or OR logic. Let's click on the first dropdown and select equals. Now let's type A1 in the text box and hit Apply. And there we go. Only the rows containing A1 in the Activity ID column are now visible. Now let's clear this filter by clicking the Clear button again. Let's move on to grouping. I click on the Grouping button in the top toolbar, and this brings up the Grouping Manager dialog. Let's try grouping the data. I click on the first row in the Group By column. Here, we have several grouping options like WBS, Resource. For now, I select WBS from the dropdown, and now watch what happens. I click on Apply, and immediately, the activity view updates. Now everything is neatly grouped by WBS, but notice that it's only showing a single level grouping because we haven't enabled indent yet. Let's take this a step further. I reopen the grouping dialog, and this time, I check the indent option before clicking Apply again. And just like that, the activity view transforms. Now let's add another layer of organization. I open the grouping dialog one more time. This time, I modify the WBS grouping rule to level 2. In the second row, I add activity type as another grouping category. And just to make things even more structured, I go ahead and add activity status in the third row. And now everything is grouped in a structured, multi-layer format. Now let's see how to export data. First, let's click on the Export button in the top toolbar, and the Export dialog appears. Let's take a moment to go through this dialog. There are two ways to export data, and we can see two options: All and Current View. If we select All, it means the entire project data will be exported, including everything in the project file. If we select Current View, it means only what is currently visible in the activity view will be exported. So any filters, groupings, or column selections applied in the view will determine what gets exported. Now, let's talk about the available output formats. If we export all, we can choose from three formats: XER, SQLite, or XLSX. If we export current view, we have two format options: CSV or XLSX. There are also some additional export settings specifically for the all export option. At the bottom of the dialog, we see two checkboxes: Export Resources and Exclude Filtered Rows. Let's break these down. If we uncheck Export Resources, the exported file will not include any resource-related data. This is useful when sharing a project with someone while keeping resource details private. The second option, Exclude Filtered Rows, ensures that any data currently filtered in the activity view will not be included in the exported file. Let's test this. I'll close the export dialog and apply a filter on the activity type column. Now, with some rows hidden due to the filter, let's reopen the export dialog and select all as the export type. I'll choose XLSX as the output format and save the file as export.xlsx on the desktop. Now, let's open this file, go to the task sheet, and check the data. As expected, only the unfiltered data is included. The filtered rows are not there. That is how the Exclude Filtered Rows option works. Now, let's close the Excel file and go back to XER Reader. I'll clear the filter on the activity type column so everything is visible again. Now, let's demonstrate the Current View Export option. I'll reopen the Export dialog, select Current View. Whatever is currently visible in the activity view will be exactly what gets exported. I'll select XLSX as the format, hit the Export button, and save the file as export2.xlsx on the desktop. Let's open this file, and there it is. We have exactly the same data that was in the activity view at the time of export. Now I'm going to show you how to export your activity view and Gantt chart to a PDF file. First, I click on the Export to PDF button from the top toolbar. This opens up the Export to PDF view. On the right-hand side of this screen, you'll notice a few settings that let you control how your PDF output will look. Let's focus on the Scale setting. Right now, it's set to the default value of 100. I'm going to change it to 50 by typing it in. This reduces the size of content, but allows more data to fit on a single page. As you can see, the page count has now dropped from 23 pages down to 7 pages. Now, just to demonstrate the other side, I'll change the scale to 110. You'll notice the content becomes larger, and the page count increases to 48 pages. This is great when you want better readability, but it takes more space. Let's change the scale back to the default 100, which gives a balanced view. Now to save, we first need to generate all the pages, so I click on the Generate button. Make sure you don't leave this screen until the generation process is complete. It doesn't run in the background, so you'll need to wait for all pages to be generated. Once that's done, let's click on the Save button. This opens the Save dialog. I type print.pdf as the file name and save it. Now, let's open that saved file. As you can see, it includes the entire activity view along with the Gantt chart, just as it appeared inside the application. Everything is preserved exactly as shown, ready to print or share.